One of the highlights of Arcane Season 2 was its new music video montages. Music video and Riot games are like chocolate and roses, peanut butter and jelly, they're a perfect pair, and in this case, Fortiche takes the formal conventions of music videos and their established brand of montage to create phenomenal recaps between episodes. This allows each episode of Arcane to focus on the important events, understanding that their audience is caught up in the wider world building and conflict. Each of these music videos have a unique style and purpose, and today we're going to break down every one in chronological order and directly analyze what they're doing and why it's great. Before we go any further, a quick warning, I will be spoiling every single montage that happens in Season 2, so if you haven't seen Arcane Season 2, this is your time to turn back, but if you have, keep watching. Also, if you like rapid fire analysis like this, make sure to subscribe and check out my other videos. So let's begin with the deep dive. Starting of course with the first music video montage of the season, the Kiramman Funeral. Arcane Season 2 begins immediately after the attack on Piltover that ends the first season. The first montage of the show therefore shows the aftermath of this attack, and specifically Caitlyn attending her mother's funeral. Caitlyn's emotional connection to this attack and eventual hatred of the people of Zaun is one of the primary conflicts of Season 2, and this montage immediately establishes Caitlyn's stoicism and resolve, which will later evolve into her military leadership. Visually, this montage shows how dim Caitlyn's life has become, devoid of color, devoid of style, except of course for Vi, who acts as the only beacon of hope for Caitlyn. This foreshadows Caitlyn and Vi's relationship, as well as Caitlyn asking Vi to become an enforcer. While as an audience we understand how weird it is to ask someone whose parents were killed by enforcers to put on a badge, but at this point, Caitlyn is asking the only person she has as a hope in her life, in the only way Caitlyn knows how: to serve. She has spent her entire life dedicated to the enforcers, dedicated to Piltover, and therefore she tries to enlist Vi as a way to kind of combine her two worlds, her new love and her old life. This then leads us directly into the montage music video of Episode 2. Meanwhile, while Caitlyn is dealing with Piltover, Episode 2's montage shows what happened to Zaun in the aftermath of Silco's death, by presenting the table of monsters who end up disappearing as we see those that remain. Cross, Smeech, I had to look these names up. The show doesn't really explain them, and to be honest, the audience doesn't need to know the specifics of these gangs, but their very distinct visual styles and framing during this montage show the ongoing gang war. This gang war has caused the people of Zaun to be fearful. People like Isha, a young girl running from goons. These goons are shot from below, making them look menacing, imposing. Isha is a child, small, helpless. The gangs of Zaun dominate over the people. And in the middle of this gang war, the direct cause of it, but doing nothing to stop it, is Jinx. Instead of stepping into Silco's shoes, Jinx coasts as she walks through, wanted by Piltover. This is directly seen in the montage as she walks straight through the middle of this gang war, two big sides of people, as she just politely walks her way through. It isn't until the consequences of her inactions literally falls onto her head does she decide to engage with it. Through this moment in the montage, we see that Jinx has the potential to disrupt the gangs of Zaun. They all fear her. The goon's stern face suddenly turns fearful at the sight of Jinx, who dispatches them one by one. This moment echoes the eventual martyrdom of Jinx. She doesn't realize how much she can help until she bonds with Isha, who makes her do so. Episode 3 then combines these two montages, the one of Piltover and Caitlyn and the one of Jinx and the Undercity. Episode 3 montage combines these two worlds. We understand Caitlyn's want to catch Jinx and dismantle Shimmer, and we also understand the current power dynamics of Zaun. This montage then shows Caitlyn and Vi and their crew raiding Zaun through the use of the toxic gas known as the Grey. Contrasting colorful visuals with sketching shows the audience how Caitlyn is utilizing old city structures to create a new approach into Zaun enforcement, one based off fear, one based on violence. The violence and rage that has dictated Caitlyn's perception of Zaunites culminates in a heartless gassing of the city to accomplish her goal. This montage has more weight because we understand the layout of Zaun at this moment and the people who inhabit it. Without Episode 2's montage, we would not be aware of the power dynamics and therefore be ambivalent to the actions of Caitlyn and Vi. But by understanding both sides of the war, the audience is encouraged to be critical of Caitlyn's behavior, who disregards the people of Zaun in her tunnel vision quest for revenge. When we see the way the Chem Baron reacts to the Grey, we know who is behind it and why. When Caitlyn gasses the city, we know who she is attacking and why. That's great storytelling. Episode 4's montage harkens back to the first, a world without color, but where Vi was used to show hope for Caitlyn, blue is used in this montage to show the uniting of Zorn. Jinx has become a symbol of rebellion, and further disruption of the gangs has allowed Jinx to stop the infighting and unite against Piltover. While large-scale political conflict is the core of Arcane's story, these montages remind us of the personal stakes. We know Jinx, we know her motivation and desires. While she is a symbol to Zorn, to us she is a fully fleshed out character. Piltover's quest to find her is fueled by Caitlyn's revenge, and this montage highlights Caitlyn trying her hardest to locate Jinx, the ferocity on her quest for revenge. Episode 5's montage is the closest to traditional montage we've seen so far, echoing classic sports movies like Rocky Vi. In the aftermath of her rejection of Caitlyn and Jinx, Vi punches her way through loss. The repetition of Vi's life at this moment, fight, drink, party, sleep, repeat, emphasizes Vi's fractured mental state. Match cuts are used to show the blurring of her life in the pits to her life outside. There is no clear distinction between her fighting and the rest of her existence. The repetition of this montage also showcases her descent, as the more she fights and drinks, the more she is plagued by images of Caitlyn and Jinx. No matter how hard she might try to fight against it, her trauma persists. Vi's fall from uptight enforcer to boxer illustrates her rock bottom. In the end, Vi resorts to the only outlet she can consistently rely on, which is violence. This echoes into Vi's characterization for the entire show and is eventually paid off at the end of the season. Episode 6 is the first episode of Season 2 to not have a montage in the beginning, but that's because this episode packs two montages that complement each other and come later on in the episode. The first comes about halfway through Vander's redemption, which showcases Victor working to restore Vander's mind. In the beginning, molten, grotesque structures prevent Victor from seeing the man behind the monster. Red symbolizes Warwick, primal and destructive. But over time, Victor eventually breaks through to reveal the memory of the man. Here, the visual style changes dramatically. A watercolor paint style shows Vander's memory of Vi and Powder and their parents. This is the most we've seen of Vi and Powder's parents, and also the most of their childhood we've seen so far, as the season continues to show how close Vander and the kids were before their parents' death. The music lifts as this lighter animation style directly contrasts the violent mind of Warwick, showing that Vander is still inside, begging everyone to... This juxtaposing visual style is used later on in the episode during Isha's sacrifice. The flashbacks to Isha's memories with Jinx echoes Vander's memory. Isha's, however, are presented as a drawing, like a child sketching out their favorite moments with their sister. The heartbreaking sacrifice from Isha reminds us of Jinx in Season 1, but where Powder's failure doomed her, Isha's saves her. The heart at the core of this show is one of family, of emotions, of care. Warwick and the Civil War in weaker shows would not have been effective as they are in Arcane. In this show, they are cemented in character writing. All of these larger scale conflicts and battles in Arcane are founded upon character. The basis of how we engage with them is based on how we know the characters behind them. They're not just there for the sake of it. Episode 7's departure from our normal world still uses a music video montage to help catch the audience up to speed. Through Heimerdinger's singing, Heimerdinger? Wow, that's a tongue twister. We cut back and forth between Jace and Echo. Through Echo's perspective, we see the changing of the path from what we know from the original timeline. The robbing of Jace's apartment, which ended with the death of Vi, and the prevention of Hextech from being created. This is mirrored directly against Jace's struggles, a world where Hextech's untapped power caused the destruction of Piltover. This montage highlights both extremes, and a crossroads for the characters. This montage successfully fills in the gaps that have been established in Season 2, explaining Jace's beard and hammer revealed earlier on in the season, and Echo's eventual control of time that will be used in the final fight. The stark differences between Jace's dystopia and Echo's utopia illustrates to Jace the dangers of Hextech and shows Echo's the ways in which life could have been great without it. Echo is presented his utopia, the world of Zorn that he wanted and wished that he can have in the original timeline, whereas Jace's shows the downside of his ambition, which will eventually lead to his later conflict with Victor. And that's it. Episode 8 and 9 feature both great montages and great music, but they aren't paired together like some of these other montages during the show. Arcane does an incredible job of quickly and effectively conveying information into a tightly packed montage, trusting their audience to pay attention and understand the nuances of the story. At the end of the day, show, don't tell. Thank you for watching. Please let me know in the comments below which one of these music video montages was your favorite and why. For me, it's the one in episode 2, the criminal restructure, because I really like the song and I also think it conveys a lot of information in a very short amount of time. Plus, it's the introduction of Isha, who is everyone's favorite character. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe to catch my next video.